we have deck lists for our round 1 feature match here. Let's see who we have under the cameras.
We have Drew Levin, who is playing Pyromancer's Ascension.
Anything exciting on Drew's side?
Well, he couldn't find 4Cs before the event, so he has a Blue Sun Zenith and some Sevions.
Yeah, we were talking to Drew before the event, and he was frantically trying to find 4Cs, couldn't, and so now he has this very awkward situation where he's playing a Pyromancer Ascension, a deck that really wants as many copies of its cards as possible, and we have 1 Blue Sun Zenith, 2 Sevion, and a Call to Minds.
Yeah.
Probably not ideally what he's going for, but we'll see how it plays out for Drew in this event. On the other hand, we have Justin Sosbe, looks like Sosbe Sosbe, who is playing Kuldotha Red, a deck we haven't seen a ton of.
I played it at Star City, Indianapolis, way back, the weekend before Pro Tour Paris, before Callblade existed. And it's the definition of win big or die trying.
Do you think you would play Goblin Grenade in this kind of deck?
Oh, yes. Goblin Grenade's awesome.
There are no Goblin Grenades in this list.
Really? How many goblins does he play?
All of the goblins.
There's 16? That seems like the right number.
Yeah, 4 Bushwhacker, 4 War Driver, 4 Goblin Guide, 4 Kuldotha Rebirth. He could be playing with it, but he's choosing not to. So here we are going into round 1. I'm Gavin Verhey, joined here with Ari Lax. And on your right, Drew Levin with Pyromancer Ascension. On your left, Justin Sosbe playing Kuldotha Red. We see Justin's off to a pretty quick start here with turn 1 Kuldotha Rebirth getting 3 goblins alongside a Mem Knight. Drew only has a Ponder by comparison.
Looks like a pretty average start for Kuldotha Red.
I have some experience playing Kuldotha Red-esque decks from playing the event deck over and over. And you can certainly get some robust starts with that deck. The problem, of course, is being able to maintain it going along. Can you beat a couple removal spells?
You can beat maybe 1 Wrath, maybe 1 Gideon, but after they have the second one, it's just all over.
Right. It's a rough situation. Now, fortunately for Kuldotha Red, without Cobblade in the picture, cards like Day of Judgment and Gideon certainly not quite as played as they once were.
Oh, no. It looks like Drew has only 4 real removal spells in the main, but he has some Pyroclasms that he can board into later.
I see 4 Burst Lightning, 4 Lightning Bolt, right?
Yeah, he has Into the Royal. That could also be useful, but I don't think that game 1 necessarily he's very favored because he doesn't have that much interaction. I don't think he's really fast enough to clock the Kuldotha Red deck in the same way.
So a rough spot for Justin. Drew casts Jataxian Probe, and he sees Justin's hand of 2 mountains.
Oh.
Not what you want to see when you're the Kuldotha Red player. You want to be as fast and explosive as possible, and you do not need more mountains in this situation. Very importantly, out of the sideboard, Drew Levin will have access to Pyroclasm, which is an absolute beating in this matchup. He has a full set. 4 damage coming into Drew Levin, going to knock Levin down to 15 life.
Justin Sosbe plays I believe, Shrine of Burning Rage?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
In fact, he put it next to his Mox Opal.
Yeah, and when he had it in his hand, it looked like it. He only has 2 of that one, but it's a pretty solid card. I don't know necessarily how well it fits the overall low mana plan of the deck, or if you can support playing more, but it's definitely a card that gives the deck some kind of end game.
Yeah.
Definitely some level of inevitability with that card.
Right, and that you need to push through the final points of damage sometimes. But Drew has a Spell Pierce to make sure that Shrine does not resolve. Drew's sitting at 10 life, though, only 3 turns away from being dead to 3 Goblin Tokens and a Mem Knight.
Drew draws a Pyromancer's Ascension for the turn, which is hopefully for him what he was looking for.
Yeah, well, when you're playing Pyromancer Ascension, the card you're looking for is almost always Pyromancer Ascension.
It's the number 1 problem with the deck.
Yep, it's got the Scape Shift issue.
Drew plays an Arid Mesa.
Okay.
I'm assuming he's playing that just so he can use Ponder to full effect.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking in your article this week about how you think even with the reprinting of Ponder, Pyromancer Ascension isn't as good as it could be otherwise.
I don't feel like the deck can reliably have the card Pyromancer's Ascension early on, because it still takes probably a 2 to 3 turns, maybe if you're really lucky, late game 1, to go from putting Pyromancer's Ascension on the table to putting them to 0 life. So you need to have it really early for it to matter, and I don't think the deck can reliably have the card Pyromancer's Ascension on turn 3, even by turn 3, in order to actually kill people in a relevant time frame.
Oh,
there's a Goblin Bushwhacker for Justin.
Does Drew have an answer?
If Drew doesn't have an answer, and he's picking up his cards.
Paxman, so despite Justin's double mountain after his fast draw, Goblin Bushwhacker seals it for the Kuldotha Red deck. We'll see how Drew's 4 Pyroclasms switch up this matchup.
He may bring in Flash Freeze, or at least a couple. I don't know how good it necessarily is against a deck that's pretty heavy on artifacts, but it definitely stops some of the more important cards like Goblin Bushwhacker. Because if that card resolves, it's usually worth upwards of 10 damage on its own.
You could also just, on the right situation, you hit like a Coldotha Rebirth or something similar, and you can do
Devastating Summons.
Devastating Summons.
Oh, that's an additional cost on that one, right?
It is an additional cost. I mean, so speaking of our sideboard options here, let's see. So 4 Pyroclasms.
For sure.
Coming out.
He might want to bring in the Consecrated Sphinx and Frost Titan.
Just to have guys, right?
Yeah. Their bodies, they're nice alternate ways to win because a Pyromancer's Ascension doesn't really affect the board when you cast it. I don't think this Jace Balearin's going to stay in for very long. Or this Blue Sun Zenith, realistically.
I think we're going to see Drew cutting Blue Sun Zenith and maybe See Beyond quite a bit today. You want to get rid of those excess 1-ofs, or 1-ofs and 2-ofs when you're playing Pyromancer Ascension because you want to draw your 4-of spells as often as possible.
You might board out Mana Leak here.
Mana Leak is certainly a weak card, or at least maybe in favor of the Flash Freeze if you want to bring those in.
Well, you probably don't want too many counter spells. You want more things that interact with the board. Spell Pierce is probably solid because he's on the play, which means if he leaves an island up on one, he can counter a potential Coldotha Rebirth. What about Justin's deck?
Let's see what we have over on Justin's side. We have Mana Barbs.
Ooh, Mana Barbs.
Against a deck like Pyromancer Ascension, that's pretty good at dealing quite a bit of damage.
Active Aggression I don't think is going to do too much. He might bring that in anticipation of possibly a Splinter Twin sideboard or main deck, because that's been popularized. Same with Dismember. I don't think Ley Line of Punishment does much, or Shatter, or Perilous Man.
Or the Single Mountain.
He's going to bring in the Mountain if he's bringing in Mana Barbs, though.
Right, so he can cast it in March. Yeah, so it's interesting. Justin has 1 mountain in his sideboard. A lot of players might look at this and be like, what? Could he not get the 15th card in time? Like, what was going on exactly? But what's actually going on here is Justin wants to be able to sideboard in an extra land for his high casting cost spells, and in potentially matchups where it feels like he needs to make sure he can hit all of his land drops, too.
Or matchups where Mox Opal might not be the most reliable mana source.
That also. I mean, when you're playing, 20 lands here, 4 of them contested war zones.
You're going to need a little bit of help to get the 4.
Yeah, if your opponent's going to be taking your war zones away from you, going to be contesting that hotly contested piece of turf.
Though, to be fair, there's not a lot of decks that are going to fight over contested war zone where you necessarily want Mana Barbs.
True, but if they're stealing your war zones, you might just need an extra mountain so you can cast your spells
That's
sometimes.
true. That's very true.
Yeah, I think that's probably the player's going to sideboard. So I think we can imagine that Drew is going to go +4 Pyroclasm and probably +1 Sphinx, +1 Frost Titan.
Probably going to cut the Jace Balearin. Maybe some number of Mana Leaks. Definitely the Blue Sun Zenith. Probably the Call to Mind.
I'd imagine the Call to Mind will come out.
I think the Sea Beyonds will stay in.
Okay.
I think he needs the filtering.
Right, you just want to find Pyroclasm. That's your most important card in this matchup, right?
Yeah.
So
all of the Pyroclasms.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Drew actually might want to leave in Mana Leak. It's probably really important that because it's only Sweeper's Pyroclasm, and he only really he doesn't really have a good way to keep dealing with waves of creatures. He probably needs Mana Leak so that he can handle a Devastating Summons. Because if that card resolves, it gets to a 3/3 and he doesn't really have any sort of real answers besides multiple burn spells or Into the Worlds.
And you think that he'll just basically never have 3 mana untapped to make Mana Leak worse than Flash Freeze?
There's not that many lands.
That's true. And I mean, those contested war zones are never getting stolen away, but it's actually interesting. It's a very strange dynamic when you start thinking about, well, do I want to leave in Mana Leak over Flash Freeze against this mono-red strategy because of all Scars and Mirrodin's artifacts? Really gives you a lot of play.
Flash Freeze does not deal with Shrine of Burning Rage very well.
No, it absolutely does not. Or these Chimeric Masses hiding over on Justin's deck.
Well, that's true.
Or even
Signal Pest.
Signal Pest. Never know what you're going to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that's probably how they'll choose a sideboard in this matchup. Who do you think has the favor in this matchup in general?
I think that the Coldotha Red deck's pretty heavily favored. The things that beat Coldotha Red are usually blockers and more blockers and sweepers, and Drew's a little bit light on both of those.
Yeah, Drew basically has to draw his Pyroclasms here. I feel.
Yeah.
The rest of his deck is not going to do a good enough job.
Drew Levin leads on a mountain, and Justin responds with a mountain of his own, a Memnite, and a Coldotha Rebirth.
All right, Justin chooses not to mess around. 3 goblins, go. It's the red wild Nacatl.
Costs an extra card instead of having no drawback at all. Very appropriate for red.
Sounds pretty much exactly correct. We'll see what options Drew has here. Now, if you're a Drew, do you have a Pyroclasm? Do you wait and try and get more value, or do you just hit his entire board here?
You're at 20, you can probably wait one turn, but I think if he commits anything else to the board, you have to go for it, because it's just too easy after that turn to just get Goblin Bushwhacker Signal Pested out or something like that.
Right.
Drew uses Misty Rainforest to get an island and plays a Pyromancer's Ascension.
All right, so Drew goes for Ascension. Now, that really might be a little bit telling about his hand, because normally, unless you already have some instants and sorceries in your graveyard, playing an early Ascension isn't really worthwhile.
It is. It just depends on what your mana curve is going to be.
But right, it depends on what's in your hand. Because if you're going to be chaining Preordains and Ponders, certainly could be good. So Justin serves in for a boatload of damage here. Looks like double Goblin Guide.
That was his play for the turn, and Drew revealed a Ponder on top of his deck.
All right, Drew needs to find Pyroclasm, and right now.
Justin's hand looks like it's Signal Pest, Shrine of Burning Rage, and Teetering Peaks right now. So that's a lot of damage.
All right, Drew goes for a Ponder. Looking for that Pyroclasm. I see a Pyromancer Ascension. I think I saw a couple blue cards. Drew draws. Does he already have Pyroclasm in his hand?
I don't know. We'll see. Looks like he does.
I was going to say...
The good old Ice Age art, too.
The nice one. Yeah, I was going to say that Drew probably kept his hand looking for Pyroclasm.
Yeah.
So it seems unlikely to me.
Well, he had both of the things you want, Ascension and Pyroclasm, so...
Right.
From here, it should be whether he can assemble the combo before Justin can rebuild.
And
Justin plays a Shrine and a Signal Pest, which isn't necessarily the best clock, but Shrine's definitely going to get there given enough time.
Right, has some inevitability. And of course, Drew has Into the Royals. He's got some options.
Yeah.
Drew also has that Ascension, which he's trying to power up.
Drew Preordains, ships one, and keeps one.
Yep. Draws his card.
I think it's a Burst Lightning.
I also think it's a Burst Lightning. So now we'll see what Drew chooses to do. There's another Preordain, puts a counter on the Ascension.
Leveling up.
Now, Ascension is kind of a wonky card. If you don't know how this works, once Ascension hits 2 counters, and it gets a counter every time you cast an instant or sorcery that's already in your graveyard. Once it gets 2 counters, it doubles all your instants and sorceries, which quickly leads to lethal.
Quickly leads to the next Ascension, and then tripling them all, and then that's really the end game.
Sure. If you're particularly crazy, that's certainly something you can do. Otherwise, you just, Burst Lightning them for 8s, Lightning Bolt them for 6, and they're dead in no time.
Yeah.
Blue Sun Zenith them for
42s.
42.
Well, at that point, it's real easy because all your Ponders see upwards of 8 cards total. So.
Yeah. And there's Hallmar Depths.
Yep.
Drew gets a fresh look at 3 cards, puts them back just the way they were.
Well, that's lucky. And he's going to pass back with a red up.
All right, so now Drew's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
I think he's got Burst Lightning facing down only a Signal Pest, and it's just Shrine of Burning Rage.
Signal Pest is going to get in there for 2 with Teetering Peaks.
Did he miss his counter for Shrine of Burning Rage?
No, there's a counter on it. It's a little green die on top of the Burning Man. You can barely see it.
Okay. I believe you.
Drew Burst Lightnings down the Signal Pest on the attack, and Justin passes back. Back to Justin again. 2 counters of the Shrine.
Drew's not fooling around, making sure that Signal Pest doesn't stay in play.
Justin's hand looks like it's not that great right now. Just another Signal Pest and a Lightning Bolt.
All right, so Justin goes for a Bolt on Drew, and when Drew taps out for a kicked Burst Lightning.
That levels up Ascension, and Justin goes to 16, rapidly going downhill.
And that's another Burst Lightning off the top for Drew Levin.
Oh boy.
So Justin sitting at 16. That Burst Lightning represents 8 damage, which will cut Justin's life total in half. We'll see. All right, Signal Pest for Justin.
Kicked Bushwhacker to follow that up.
Flash freezes the Bushwhacker twice for value.
In case one's not enough.
Yeah. So he did bring in those flash freezes, or at least one. And now Drew passes the turn.
The way this Ascension deck's winning, it looks more like a control deck almost. Establish control, play your Pyromancer's Ascension, which turns into this sort of endgame threat, and then from there, you win.
Every card just 2-for-1s them, and then all your instants and sorceries just turn online. It's not a combo deck. Huh?
Drew left in that Blue Sun Zenith. I think it even has a Pro Tour stamp on it.
Draws 6 cards, though. Exactly what he wants.
Shuffles twice too.
It's a good thing Justin doesn't have Kosi's Trickster in play. It would be for some problems. All right, so
what's the Psychic Surgery? That's the one?
Psychic Surgery, sure. Psychogenic Probe, too. So Drew reloads up on 6 cards, shuffles back into Zenith. And now Drew should have all the ammo in the world he needs, up 6 cards.
The copy results first, so you draw 3, shuffle, and then draw 3 more. So you don't actually have a chance to redraw the loose ones.
Yes. All right, so...
Why do you have 8 calls?
Let's see. Draws a card for his turn. And let's see if he's got lethal here. Now, he only has 2 mountains, which might be a hindrance on being able to kill Justin this turn. But if he's got a third one in his hands, he might be able to...
Is Justin at 16 or is he at 8?
Justin at 16.
Wasn't there another Burst Lightning? Or
I don't think so.
No?
I think Drew has another Burst Lightning in his hands. But I think he opted to Zenith instead.
That's what it is.
All right, Pyroclasms twice, making sure that
Very
Signal Pest goes
dead
away.
Signal Pest.
Yeah. Just set things on fire. Watch the world burn.
The promo one this time.
I use the promo one most of the time, although I do have Ice Age ones that I use when I can. I always think it's interesting to see which versions players choose to use. All right, so Drew goes for a kicked into the Royal on that Shrine of Burning Rage, which Justin then launches at Drew's heads.
Because he's going to sacrifice it, so... Yeah.
Right. Unkicked on the Shrine of Burning Rage.
So Drew's at 9 life right now.
So Drew's sitting at 9, but still in a pretty plush position.
Full hand, full mana base, active Ascension. It's just a matter of finding all the pieces.
Right. I mean, Justin would have to basically have runner to deal with Drew at this point.
And that's assuming Drew has actually nothing.
Yeah, and Drew has... I think Drew's got quite a bit of action in his hand.
Yeah.
If he hasn't killed Justin yet, it means that he just has, counter magic or... I think it's another Pyroclasm off the top for Drew Levin.
There's mana barbs in Justin's hand, it looks like.
Mana barbs, eh?
Yeah. I think he's debating whether he wants to cast it and potentially lock himself out of the game. He instead plays a contested Warzone and passes.
All right, Warzone down. I think do you think he's trying to get up to 7 mana so he could pay for Mana Link?
It's possible, but I think that a more realistic problem is that if he plays the mana barbs, Drew only has to pay 1 mana for all of his spells, so he's not going to take that much damage. And if Justin gets bolted once or twice, he's just no longer able to cast spells.
Right.
I remember watching this happen in old standards with the Valakut decks. The Naya deck would play mana barbs, the Valakut deck would play Primeval Titan, then the Naya deck would be at like 3 life and immediately die.
Pretty rough situation. Drew looks over Justin's graveyard, seeing if there's anything that he missed hiding over there. And now Drew making sure the coast is clear. All right, Burst Lightning, you take 8. Justin taps 1 mana. Lightning bolts Drew down to 6.
Drew's gonna crack his Scalding Tarn.
Looks like he's got Spell Pierce.
And Flash Freeze it.
Flash Freeze.
Copy also targeting you.
Make sure not to do not target the Burst Lightning twice. Thank you very much. All right, so Lightning Bolt down.
Yeah, Justin's other card looks like a Golgotha Rebirth with no artifacts in place, so doesn't look like he's getting anywhere really fast. Justin's...
All right.
Okay. Drew has the extra Burst Lightning to do the full 16.
Yep, 6. That's what that works. That's how that works with Pyromancer Ascension. Kicked cards copy the fact that they were kicked, and that's 4 damage plus 4 damage, 4 damage plus 4 damage, 16.
Yeah.
Out of the picture. The end. So, how do you think it works out now? Because we saw Pyroclasm be absolutely brutal that game. You were saying earlier how you feel like all in, or not all in red, Coldotha red, or more or less all in red.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. How Coldotha red is just basically you're all in. Do you think there's a way you can play around that?
It's going to help a lot that he's on the play, because Drew's probably going to have to Pyroclasm on 2. And it's really easy for the Golgotha Red deck with Goblin Bushwhacker to just on 3 put lethal damage back on the board again post Pyroclasm, especially when their opponent's tapped out for the Wrath effect.
Right.
When the deck first came around, people had a lot of Ratchet Bombs, so that was something that was really obnoxious. But Pyroclasm's a different story, so we'll see if it's enough. But I have a feeling the red deck's still a bit favored here.
Okay, yeah, I mean, especially on the play, I agree.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Drew has to have that Pyroclasm. He's going to mulligan until he finds a Pyroclasm. Or I think he'll mulligan probably any 7 without Pyroclasm, and on 6 he'll be looking for Pyroclasm or Preordain or Ponder or something to help him find Pyroclasm.
There might be some critical mass of Lightning Bolts and Into the Royals, that's fine, but that would probably also involve having the Ascension in hand too.
Right, yeah. Well, you can't, with a hand like that, it's hard because if you go, alright, kill your token, kill your token, kill your token, and then just have Ascension and nothing to power it up, you might just die to random dudes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he doesn't have Golgotha Rebirth, you can reasonably play this 1-for-1 game for a little while and see where that goes. Especially if you have some kind of Flash Freeze effect for a Devastating Summons.
Right. How many Flash Freezes do we think Drew brought in? Because we saw at least 2 that game.
I'm thinking the full set.
Full set of Flash Freezes.
Yeah.
Just making sure you don't get Devastating Summons out. Don't get double bushwhacked.
It's just it's just a good card against the red deck. Most of the artifacts actually don't really need to counter. I don't know if Drew assumes that he has 4 Shrine of Burning Rage, but even then, that's the only card, and you can handle that with Into the World pretty well.
Do you think that he did not bring in the Sphinx and Titan then?
I don't know yet. We'll have to see on that one. I think Sphinx is definitely really good. Titan might be a little worse, but Sphinx is going to end the game almost immediately.
Like in that game, for example, like say instead of the Zenith, if he had the Sphinx, I think it does a very similar thing, where it locks down the board, just gives him an incremental card advantage.
And it's actually a clock, so he wouldn't have even needed the Ascension really to get there.
He gets focused on making sure all of his opponent's creatures are dead.
Yeah. Consecrated Sphinx is one of those cards that, even if they kill it after they untap, they're probably still really far behind. And if you ever untap with a Sphinx and play, the game's pretty much over.
Yeah, Sphinx is absolutely unreal. It's a rare card. It's a rare 6-drop that can compete with the Titan these days.
Yeah.
But man.
Yeah. Everyone keeps writing these articles. They're like, oh, I can review this set. If the 6-drop doesn't have Titan in the name, it's really bad. And they get the Frost Titan, they're like, oh, well, this one is not a Sphinx, so it's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, Concentrated Sphinx is a flying Titan that's like Sphinx of Draw, or Titan of Draw 2 cards. Right?
Yeah. I can see arguments for playing Frost Titan over it that usually involve acidic slimes and birthing pods, but... Or maybe opposing Titans. The old Frost Titan beats all the other Titans argument, but... Sphinx beats a lot of everything.
Drawing 2 cards is insane, especially with Jace Balerion, because you can like tick it up 1, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you draw off theirs, and that is particularly brutal. You just end up with so many cards in your hand. I've never had to discard in my life so much with the blue deck as I have when I'm playing with Consecrated Sphinx. It's a high class problem to have.
Yeah. Well, I've got these like 5 lands that I can't play, so I'll discard like 3 of those and keep these 5 spells. Next turn, oh, well, I'm out of lands, so I'll discard all of these spells.
It's interesting. You played in the Block Construction Pro Tour, right?
Yes.
We just had. So the thing that captivated me about that Pro Tour, an interesting interaction, is that you both have Consecrated Sphinx in play.
What
is the right thing to do?
I've heard the argument of like, you just draw until you think you have the perfect hand. I've heard, you draw cards as long as they have less cards in deck than you do. I don't think anyone actually knows what happened, because everyone who would have like sat down and realistically like had the idea of what would have happened just decided to play Tempered Seal instead because there wasn't enough support for Sphinx. But I think that's a question we're gonna have to find a good answer to sometime pretty soon.
Yeah, I was watching a Coblin mirror match back when you could do that kind of thing, and they both had Sphinx in play, and one player they kept drawing, and eventually one player was like, all right, I'll stop. Sword of War and Peace attack you.
Oh, wow.
Take damage equal number of cards in your hand.
I think Mike Jacob, actually, him and I had a long discussion about this. And by that I mean Mike Jacob just talked about like all the things that he played Sphinx at the Pro Tour, and he just talked about like all the singletons he'd have in his deck because he knew about the matchup. Like he's like, yeah, I'd want an Apostle's Blessing, and so I can protection the Sphinx. And it looks like we're back to the game. Justin started off with 2 Memnites, a Mox Opal, and a Perilous Mirror on turn 1.
Man, Perilous Mirror, interesting.
I could not really see that one coming in. Maybe it's just a threat that goes around Flash Freeze?
It can't be Flash Freezed.
Gives Reach Through Pyroclasm is pretty important.
Does give her some Reach Through Pyroclasm.
Drew ponders his decisions. He keeps them on top, it looks like.
Let's see, draws. All right, there's a contested war zone. Oh my!
This is
take 6. And that's the power of the Kadotha red deck with a start like this. Now, once again, Drew's in a position where he needs Pyroclasm.
And Justin still has all these cards in his hand.
Yeah, Justin has way more action in this game because of the contested war zone, basically just doubling up his forces.
But I think it's 2, but still a lot of cards for the red deck. Damage.
But if Drew has Plasma, you have to burn it right here.
Yeah.
Does he have it?
Doesn't look like
He
it.
is not slamming it on the table. All right, well, he cracks the Plasm. It's possible Drew's just thinking about it. Maybe I want to go for Ascension this turn, but I don't think you can. I think if you have it, you have to do it.
You go down to 7 life, and that's easily within... Oh, he gets another island. He does not have it. This is...
Unless he's trying to trick Justin somehow, I don't think this is doing what he wants to do.
No. I mean, a second contested Warzone is pretty much lethal at this point. Doesn't even have to play a spell to get there.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, especially with that Perilous Mirror sitting out there, too.
Oh, yeah. The classic limited scenario, well, I'm at 2 life, and I can take 1 hit from this Perilous Mirror on the attack, and then I'm dead.
Need to draw a wall very badly. All right. Looks like preordained from Drew Levin. Sees 2 cards. I think one of them is Hallmark Depths. Doesn't matter. Instantly ships them.
Assuming he cracked his fetch first because he didn't want the other 2 cards off Ponder because they were not Pyroclasms.
Once again, Drew has to find Pyroclasm. Drew just
Passes the turn.
back.
Oh.
Passes with it with a blue up, so maybe he's got Spell Pierce available. I think you might have taken those out, but...
On the draw, they're probably not as good because they won't hit the turn 1 rebirth.
Right. Yeah, so I'm interested in what he's doing with that island. All right. Well, all right, so Justin serves War Zones, hits Drew for 6, dropping him down to 7 life.
Holds back his hand.
Drew
Notice
draws.
he's using the very appropriate bacon sleeves for that deck.
Goes with everything. Oh, there, I think it's a Power Plasma on top?
I think that's an Ascension.
Oh, that's an Ascension.
Oh.
I think it's a Bolt Ascension Holomar Depths.
Yep.
And Drew's going to have to ship.
Yep.
Drew looks over his hands.
Still no Pyroclasms.
Is Drew leaving them? Drew leaves them.
I think he's gonna. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's gonna rely on this lightning bolt to. Yeah. I think maybe he's missing the 2 damage from the Perilous Mirror. Thinks he can stabilize, or.
It's not where Drew Levin wants to be. Maybe he just... I'm not sure. I mean, you have to shuffle there if you don't have Pyroclasm, right?
Especially because this lands a Scalding Tarn. He can't really play this lightning bolt because he just dies.
Drew passes the turn. I'm looking over Drew's list. I don't see some kind of trick to get him out of this situation.
Maybe he's gonna into the Royal something, or...
Yeah, I mean, you could Royal back that Perilous Mirror.
Yeah.
Let's see, like he cracks that. And so Justin serves, activates the War Zone, Drew cracks his land for a mountain. What do you think is going on here? Do you think we're seeing Into the Royal or Lightning Bolt?
Lightning Bolt puts him to 2 life with the Perilous Mirror on the board, so I don't really see that ending very profitably. So I think, well, even...
It's a Bolt.
Bolt to Memnite goes to 2 life.
Sitting at 2 with Perilous Mirror in play, not quite where you want to be.
It looks like he's shaking his head a little bit there.
Uh-oh.
And it's probably going to be it.
I mean, I'm looking at Drew's hand.
Perilous Mirror's not even optional. Can't forget.
I mean, yeah, unless Justin chooses the dome himself. I mean, I guess you could Into the Royal and Bolt, but yeah, Drew doesn't have it, so...
That's game.
Drew packs... Looks like Drew brought in Dispel.
Huh.
Interesting.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of instants going on this list.
I just see 4 Lightning Bolts. Yeah, I'm back in the booth. I'm Gavin Verhey here with Ari Lax at Star City Games Cincinnati Open Series, standard portion here in Ohio.